I'm Leon Todd for G66. Welcome to another Tuesday tone tip. On today's video, by request, we're going to take a look at some shoegaze inspired tones. I'm playing my 1977 Fender Strat straight into the Axe FX3. I'm going to give you a sample of the very first scene in this preset that I have put together. It sounds like this. One thing that I love about this genre is that players are not shy to really go hard with wet effects. One of my favorite bands, not just kind of in this shoegaze post-rock kind of genre, but in general, is a band called Slowdive, and they used a little half-rack Yamaha unit called the FX500 on a particular preset called Soft Focus, and I basically replicated this here. So what I'm going to do is turn each effect off and then bring them in so that you can hear what each of them is doing and the net effect on the tone. Now, I'm using a pair of the Deluxe Verb vibrato amps here, and you'll notice that I'm running all of the effects in front of the amp. This is kind of true to the aesthetic of shoegaze, which is using all your effects before the amp, stacking them in series, and again, not being shy to just use a lot of effect mix on there. So these are set identically, except I have set the input select on this amp here to right and panned it hard right. Done the opposite here. I've set it to left and panned it left, and I have a stereo pair of these Rumble 160A IRs, so factory cab 909 in bank 2. Right at the end, I've placed a compressor. I've set the ratio to infinite and the threshold at -20. So this is acting like a limiter. The reason I've done this is that sometimes you can have a lot of reverb and a lot of delay, and you can kind of get this big ambient buildup that can perhaps clip the output. So we're just using this here as like a safeguard. The clean tone is super basic. Again, it's just a pair of these amps and this IR. Gain at 6, bass at 3, and treble at 7. I'm on the bridge pickup, and it's not overly bright. Very, very straightforward, clean sound. The first effect in the chain is a compressor. I've just used the Studio feed-forward compressor with the ratio at 4 to just kind of even out some of the dynamics in my You could use any style of compressor you like. I find the Studio feed-forward is relatively transparent. Just applying a little bit of squish in there. We'll skip the drive for now, but we'll go to this parametric EQ, and this is totally optional in here, but I have just pulled this from the FX500 manual, where I'm just pulling out a little bit of mid-range in here. So you can see 1000 Hertz, I'm dipping by 5 dB. Kind of just scoops it out, and I find this is pretty useful if you're playing a guitar with humbuckers or P90s, less useful on a Strat, but it still has its character. The real fun begins when we add some delay in here. So I've got a dual delay with the left time set to 250 milliseconds, the right time set to 380 milliseconds, and I'm using the cross feedback on here, so feedback left to right at 100%, and then I've cranked the feedback up on the left channel to 72. This is a lot of delay. With volume swells in there, that is already sounding epic. It gets even more epic with some reverb. You also notice that I've got the effect mix above 50% on here for that full-on shoegaze effect. Similar thing with the reverb. I've got the music hall set at 56% mix. We get this. both the delay and the reverb in front of the amps. It's full of character in there. I find it's a lot more kind of clean and controlled if you place them after the amp and cab, but in front, you get that kind of extra crustiness, and the way the delay and reverb tails get quieter means that you end up with less gain on the amp with each successive repeat. So they kind of clean up as you go along. I think the effect that really brings all of this together, though, is the stereo flanger placed after the reverb and the delay. Check out what this does. It's amazing. So that's the core tone in this particular preset. And again, I kind of just lifted it from the settings that are in the old FX500 manual. With the Fractal, we've got so many options to kind of take it to another level though. So the first thing that I like is to just add a Fuzz Face in here to the core tone. So this is super filthy, super fun. Take some cues from My Bloody Valentine and use a reverse reverb style effect in here as well. I'm using the Mega Tap delay block, which we actually looked at on last week's video where I talked about blooming reverbs. In this case, we're going to use the reverse reverb echo. You can see the settings on there. This is really cool because you can set basically a swell in. You can set the envelope and the attack time for your reverse reverb. 100% mix. Again, do not be shy with the effects blend here. Check this out. I don't even have to use my volume control to do the swells. This is so fun. This preset up on Exchange for you to download, but I would encourage you to treat it as a starting point or a template for your own explorations with these sounds. The kind of general outline would be that you want to run your effects with the effect mix often above 50% in front of a pair of kind of cleanish amps. You can use really nasty sounding distortions at the start of the chain, like fuzzes or some of the hard clippers in there, having a compressor set up as a limiter at the end of the chain to keep it all controlled, and then go to town. Try a multi-tap delay instead of a dual delay. Try one of the pitched reverbs instead of the music hall. Try some of the different mega tap blocks in here. Try some different modulation options. You've got no limit on the Fractal when it comes to swapping in different tones. This would be a pretty noisy, unwieldy setup if these were all individual pedals being powered off a power supply. In the Fractal, when you're not playing, it is dead quiet, thanks to the awesome low noise circuitry and the gates in there. You've also got so many different amps that you can try. You can try this in front of heavily distorted amps. You can try this in front of stuff like the AC20 that are even more kind of jangly than the Deluxe Verb Vibrato. I love this kind of setup where, you know, you don't have to worry about being subtle. You can have all the effects all the time and create these giant ambient washy pads. If you enjoyed this, let me know in the comments section below. If you've got future requests for the Tuesday Tone Tip series, let me know in the comments. Otherwise, I'll play you all out with scene 1 on here. I'll upload this and link it in the video description. Have a great day.